Okay. All right. It says that I am live. So, okay. Hi. Welcome, everybody. I love this little light that I have to keep it bright, but sometimes it's just too much. There. No, see, now it's back. Okay, there. No, there's back. No, there. All right. Anyway, doesn't matter. Hi, everybody. This is She That Exists. Um, and I am the founder of She That Exists, and the founder and the owner of She That Exists, her story channel. All right, so I wanted to jump on here and share an offer. All right, and this particular offer is specifically for women. Okay, this particular offer is for women leaders, women coaches, women consultants, um, women educators, women who are in the holistic health and wellness fields, mind, body, spirit, the metaphysical fields, for those who are on the path of consciousness. This offer is for women ministers. Okay, if you are a woman, all right, and you are an ordained minister, this offer is for you. If you are a consultant, this offer is for you. I think I covered all the bases. However, with that being said, this is what I've noticed. Okay, in my 33 years of life experience, and see, I gave my life to God, Creator. You know, the innocence and the goodness of life, and everything that I knew in my heart that was good, innocent, pure, and true. I gave my life to all that 33 years ago. 33 long years ago. All right. And I'm kind of an old soul, got a lot of wisdom, have many gifts of God's Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach, the set apart spirit, lots and lots and lots of gifts, life experience, lots of talents, um, abilities, insight, perspective, wisdom, have seer gifts, visionary gifts, mystical gifts, um, gifts galore overflowing. So, what do I do with all these gifts? Can't just be sitting on my gifts, right? Because the word says that, we're to use our gifts and talents, because it's something that God, creator of life, gave us naturally, nature gave us. So, it's something, not to just sit on, but to share our gifts with others to help improve their lives, to make their lives better. And so, if you qualify into any of the titles or the fields or the professions of anything that I've shared, then this offer possibly is for you. Um, I will say this. Um, I don't work well with narcissists, because narcissists tend to not listen to the wisdom of others and not want to grow and expand as far as like mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and they don't really receive wisdom, and they have a hard time like looking back into the mirror and doing any type of inner self reflection. So if you tend to lean to the narcissist side, this offer is not for you, and it would not be beneficial to anybody in the group. It wouldn't be beneficial for you, and it would not be beneficial to me. It would wear me down energetically, and I'm not here for that. Okay, so with that being said, I'll share a couple of examples of why I know that this offer is needed and how it's going to benefit those who resonate, those who are called. And that is one, when we get our degrees, right? We go to school, we earn our bachelors, we earn our masters, um, even PhD. Um, we take our ordination. We give our oath to God/life. My oath is, it specifically reads God/life, for my ordination as an ordained minister. However, with that being said, there's a difference between earning a degree and jumping into it and not having the life experience. Life experience is everything. Let's see, I gave my life to God at 15. And looking back now, I could tell that the pastor at the church that I got baptized at, there was a lot of truth, that he didn't share with just, like the regular, members, of the church, or, especially women, right? I look back and I'm like, whoa, like there's a lot that I could tell looking back on now. And there was some suppression. I remember that I was 16 years old and I went to the pastor and I was so excited. And I've kept my inner child alive. I never killed my inner child off, because the word says that we must be as children to even enter into the kingdom of heaven, and the kingdom of heaven, is within. So I went to the pastor and I was like, brother, da 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 da. We called the pastor brother by his name. And I said, God told me to start a youth newsletter, for the youth of the church and everything. And he immediately shut me down. Now, what that did to my spirit, as a 16-year-old, was not good. Because he didn't respect, God in me and God's spirit in me, because many of these churches, they do subordinate females, they do subordinate girls and suppress girls. And so it was a total crush on my spirit. I look back, and if I would have had a woman minister that was healthy and non-narcissistic, maybe it would have been a different scenario. Maybe that pastor, whenever I was 16 at the time, would have said, I think that's a great idea. The church youth group does need a newsletter, and that would be so great to spread the gospel, or to get the word out about what's going on and what the youth is doing in the community at this church. But obviously, I had a pastor at the time who was either a misogynist, because they suppress females, girls, women, ladies, or he just had his own agenda. Because a lot of times you'll find these pastors, like, they are like kind of in competition with the other local denomination, to see who can get the most members, and they have their own personal agendas. At 16 years old, of course, I didn't know that, but looking back now, 33 years later, I could look back and I could see that. And so that's one example of, things that I've learned over my 33-year long dedication and devotion to God and righteousness and goodness and innocence and the sacredness of life, and doing good, and doing good works. Because the gospel is the good news, right? It's the good news, and God is very close to the word good. So we are here to do the good work. So another example that I have from my life experience is I'm also an author. Okay. And so when you become an author, you get experience with that too, because sometimes you get to work and be in contracts with different studios. Okay. So I have an experience with that, where I was volunteering for a doctor. And when I heard about this doctor, he had multiple degrees, like multiple out the wazoo of doctorhood. So I was just like, oh my gosh, this doctor is everything that I feel like that, my family needed, because he was like, he was a real doctor, as far as like having all his credentials and his degrees and everything. And then he also had degrees in hospital administration, and you name it, all the degrees. And then whenever I found him, he was founding a cancer institute to educate people about cancer and helping them heal holistically, with cancer by learning about the benefits of the endocannabinoid system in the body and cannabis and CBD and how that all comes together to help the body. Okay, but then he also used other science-backed cancer research to help heal cancer as well. So I say all that to say that I volunteered for this guy. And I put my heart and my soul into volunteering for this guy and getting the word out about his cancer institute and everything that he was doing and everything that he was doing to help teach people about the endocannabinoid system in the body. And so I say all that to say that I let him in, right? I let him in to my world. And I let him in to the personal relationships that I was building with certain women CEOs and certain women business owners. And one particular woman business owner CEO that is doing an amazing job and wow, like I'm just blowing up with how she is serving women. And I brought him into that world with me in the initial stages of building the relationship with this woman as a CEO and me being an ordained minister and an author. And it was a mistake. I should not have connected them. Okay. This is why I'm calling it Wednesday Wisdom, right? Because anybody who joins my Wednesday Wisdom membership is going to learn from me about my trials, my errors, the mistakes, and all the wisdom that I have from the experiences. Because when I connected the two of them, the doctor was not able to meet her where she was at, which is essential in relationships and personal development and business relationships, personal relationships, spiritual relationships. And if you're an ordained minister, this is just essential what I'm teaching you. And if you don't have this knowledge and this wisdom and these natural gifts and abilities that I have, this is an opportunity for you to step into my realm and learn from me. Because what happened is, I would say his narcissistic side came out and he wasn't able to meet her where she was at emotionally. Okay. Because especially women, when it comes to our health and it comes to our relationships, we say yes when we feel like there's an emotional connection there because of our intuition and what we feel. And women who are truly connected with themselves, they're going to say, no, no, thank you. And that is exactly what happened whenever I connected this cancer doctor who was starting an institute to this woman who was in leadership with business. She was listening to her gut. She was listening to her intuition. And she flat out said to this doctor in a group chat that we were in, no, thank you. I'm going to go with, and she chose a women's team. And it was because this doctor was not in touch with his own emotions. He was not in touch with his own feelings. He was not in touch with himself. He had not done the inner spiritual work that he even needed to do for himself. He was good for research. He was good for science-backed knowledge, but he could not connect with people and meet people where they were at or be authentic in his compassion or in his empathy when it came to working with clients who had cancer or business owners who had cancer. He could not connect with people and meet them where they were at. Okay. And then later I look back and I was like, wow, that doctor is a total narcissist because he never thanked me for inviting him into my world to connect him with high quality individuals. And he was so into his narcissism, and I call it the false ego, that he never humbled himself and apologized. So he lost a good volunteer too, right? Because, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm very high quality volunteer. However, I don't volunteer anymore. Okay, so This is another example of what you will be learning when you step into this membership with me, when we're going to be meeting and sharing and growing, because what I see the most is people don't even know the foundation of building healthy professional, social, spiritual connections for growth and expansion. Just don't even know the foundation. And a lot of people don't even know foundation of friendship and what friendship actually is, or taking stewardship over your friendships, taking stewardships over your professional and personal relationships. Okay. And if you don't know how to do that, then good luck staying married and growing anything sustainable and long lasting. Okay, so let me think of a third example, because I have tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of examples. Okay, so the time that I was elected by an international attorney general as chairwoman for growth and expansion for a private membership association. Okay, so I won't go into much or say much about that. I'll just say that I have the gifts and the abilities from God Creator naturally as a phenom and as an anomaly in that area for growth and expansion. And I received an anonymous vote. I mean, not anonymous, unanimous vote, that I got elected as chairwoman. But nobody wanted to grow. Nobody wanted to expand. And everybody was content on staying in the false ego. They were know-it-alls, and it was blind leading the blind. And when the leadership is corrupt from the head, then guess what? The whole entire organization or the private membership association or the community or whatever is going to be corrupted and tainted. All right. So most of the time when people start off, they're starting off doing something pure, doing something good. I have, I don't know, I wouldn't call him a friend at this point, but back in my early 20s, I went to church with a guy who I thought was my friend, and he wanted to become a pastor, and he wanted to start his own church, and that was like what he wanted. That was his thing. And me, I was just, on my journey with God and life, and just trying to get to really know myself and come into myself. And I wasn't on the journey of self-mastery yet. And I hadn't come into my journey of consciousness, and the doors hadn't opened yet for my conscious education and my metaphysical education, and my higher non-secular education. I was still going to state colleges at the time, and like trade school stuff and everything. But he ended up becoming ordained and starting his own church. And I look back and I think, surely he had pure intentions in the beginning, because I'm not friends with him today, because I look back and I say, wow, he is a total religious hypocrite, right? He is shady. He is definitely doing things that are anti-Jesus and ungodly and anti-Christ. And then, so a part of leadership is staying in integrity. Okay, staying tried and true to the highest character and highest integrity, and not selling pieces and parts of yourself for money or for backdoor deals or government subsidization, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because Yahushua HaMashiach, commonly known as Jesus Christ of Nazareth, believe it or not, he taught people to not depend on the government and to not associate with the government. And so what he taught, as far as what the real church is, would not be connected to the government today. All right. So with that being said, that is another example of how people start out with good intentions, but yet they sell pieces and parts of their soul to get money or government contracts, backdoor deals, everything, you name it. And these are the things that you're not going to be taught when you're earning your degree. These are things that only come through life experience, okay? And so this ex-friend who used to be my friend back into the 20s, I do not associate with him today and I would not recommend his church or him as a pastor because I know the shady, dirty things that he's done, right? Protect the names of the guilty. All right. So one more example, and then I'm going to close up this offer. One more example is this lady. Okay. She started a PMA for children and stuff having to do with the courts to basically expose what's going on in the court system and the family with children, and basically, just kind of expose it for the sham banking, for profit, for trauma institution that is, which, anybody who's in the know and the up and up knows that it's not for family healing. There are no incentives to keep families together. There are no incentives to keep children with their most loving parent, or to get parents counseling, or to keep children with their parents. It's just conquer, divide, banking, transaction, money, 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 money. And I have a conscious master's course on that. If you're interested at all, comment in the chat or email me and ask me about that conscious master's course, and I'll send you the purchase link. Okay. So with that being said, I'm like, she looks like she's doing something that would be good for humanity. It needs to be done. This is good. And, she was talking about like God or Yahweh or, this or that, and kind of seemed like she, was a decent character. So then I joined her little chat group, and, her little chat support, whatever group, she called it I won't say her name, but like her warriors, who are supposedly these warriors for this. And I'm not a warrior. I'm more of a peacekeeper. My anchor scripture is Exodus 14:14, that the word says that God, creator, fights our battles for us, and all we have to do is stand. And how the word says that, we're saved by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So I'm a peacekeeper, medicine woman, helper, healer archetype, not really a warrior, fighter who has the energy for that. I just be still and know that I'm God. And God is sovereign. So just be still and let God be sovereign. All right. And so with that being said, I thought she was selling a book, right? And I thought, I will support her and buy the book, right? Because I'm all about consciously investing my money in other people, and consciously spending my money. I mean, because we work hard for our money, we work smart for our money, we work wise for our money, right? So this offering that I'm offering to women ministers, leaders, consultants, educators, holistic health and wellness, anybody who's in all these different fields and professions, I'm also teaching money consciousness as well. So I thought, I will spend some money on her book, and I will invest in her mission for this private membership association that she was starting for children and family, to kind of expose and educate people about the family court system. And then, so I got the book. And then I ended up paying her for a consultation, a service. And she spent, I would say, 1/4. Yeah, I'd say 1/4 of the time that I paid with her, talking about something that had nothing to do with what I was paying her for the consultation. And she was basically like violating ethical things. She was being unethical. So in Wisdom Wednesdays, if you join this membership, we're going to be discussing character. We're going to be discussing ethics. We're going to be discussing consciousness with money. We're going to be discussing learning how to build professional, solid friendships and professional relationships. Because I learned that most people don't even know that, or the value of even stewarding these relationships. And so, she spent probably 1/4 of the hour consultation being unethical and violating things as far as being unethical. So she knew nothing about leadership in that area. And then she made promises that she would outline, certain things. She never did, with like, different steps and everything. And then I waited like 2 weeks, and I got back with her because I was praying and, for guidance and direction on how to respond. And I knew she was going through a lot. I knew that she was going through a lot. A lot. So I knew that she was also dealing with some, traumas and some stuff. She's going through a lot. I had sent her because I am a soulologist, and because I do have a mastery in consciousness, because I have had 30 years in relationship with Yahushua HaMashiach. I had sent her some guidance because she was going through like a tunnel, a portal, kind of like a dark place that I was. So I was giving her professional guidance as a soulologist and as a Yahushuan and as a metaphysical practitioner in the work that I do on a soul level, guiding her from a ministerial perspective as well. And she did not appreciate that knowledge and that wisdom and that foresight that I have as a seer, as a visionary, and with my gifts of prophecy. And she didn't appreciate the value that I gave, because I was offering her support. And then she was very disrespectful. She never said thank you. She never acknowledged it. And so then whenever I did email back to her and say, hey, you promised this, this, and this, you did deliver. I do have a couple questions for clarity. Hopefully we could work through this. If not, I would like a refund, just because the professionalism wasn't there. I don't know what happened to the days that the customer is always right. However, I feel like you do everything you can to make people happy and make the customer happy. And instead, her narcissism came out. And immediately, her narcissism came out when she couldn't control me and she couldn't silence me and everything else. Then she retaliated. And, like all of her lack of credibility came out. Her shadow side came out. Because people can make themselves a certain way, and appear a certain way. But her shadow side came out. Her lack of ethics came out. Her lack of credibility came out. Her unprofessionalism came out. Her narcissism came out. And then I started seeing like, oh, well, I kind of see why she's, having these difficulties in her personal life and the situation, because look how she treats people who invest in her. Look how she treats people who send her money. Look how she's treating people who believe in her. Look how she's treating people who have invested in her, because people who hire us and work with us as coaches or consultants or, in our ministerial work, or as educators, or in the sacred fields that we tend, whether it's mind, body, spirit, holistic health, and leadership, she showed her true gray. And so anytime you're not allowed to ask questions, that's not a sign of a healthy person. And if you're not able to say, hey, you promised this step, you promised to deliver this in this consultation, and I do have a couple questions, for clarity. And then she also changed the price, because I asked her beforehand. I said, this is where I'm at. This is what my budget is. I said, is this going to be a thing where, you're offering me this price, but I'm going to have to book like 10 different sessions with you, just, to solve or to get a solution, or, I asked straight up front, and she's like, no, because it's you, da, 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 da. So, but then she flipped all that, she switched all that, and she didn't keep her word in that. And when we're in leadership positions, especially as women, okay, the main important thing is you have to be somewhat of a character. You have to have integrity, and ethics is so huge. And I feel like either did the school system drop the ball? Did our parents drop the ball? But I just see this huge need. And so that's why I'm putting out this offer, because you don't know what you don't know till you don't know. So anyway, what happened with that lady, her narcissism came all out. You don't retaliate on the people supporting you. You don't retaliate on your clients. You just find out, if they need clarity, you give them clarity. If they need a little extra support, yeah, give them a little extra support. It's not a big deal. But what she did is she retaliated. She deleted me from the group. Then she blocked me. And then I was like, wow, she's obviously a messed up individual. And she's got some major issues. And she really is in no position to be doing what she's doing. And she, I sent her mercy. I sent her compassion. I realized that even if I sent her wisdom and knowledge and said, hey, this is how you be a better leader. This is what you need to do different as a leader. This is how you need to treat people as a leader. This is how you need to treat people as a business owner. This is how you need to treat people as a founder. This is how you need to treat people with what you're trying to do with your family and your children, private membership association, court mediation, educational, whatever it is you're trying. You don't treat members of your private membership association in that way. But she would not have listened if I shared with her the wisdom that I have from walking with Yahushua for 33 years and from my own life experience and in my knowledge and my wisdom as a child of God and how you treat people. So those are several different examples. I have 100 million more examples. Probably write a book about it in the future. However, this is my offer. And this offer is for women, young ladies, if you're of age. So you got to be of legal age to accept this offer. And with that being said, you can email me at SheThatExists to accept this offer, to learn more about this offer. It'll probably be, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what y'all want. Y'all want weekly? Y'all want bi-weekly? Yeah. But I know that this is needed, and I could be quiet and I could play small and I could sit back on all my gifts and talents and all my wisdom and all my life experience internationally and just everything that's in me as a phenom and an anomaly and all the gifts that God has given me for this life. Or I could share it and I could put out an offer. And so this is my offer. So I'm going to work on some things. I got a chapter to edit in a book as an author. I've got an article that I need to write for a magazine. And then I have a podcast that I need to prepare for. And then I have a contract that I need to look at. So yes. Message me and send me an email if you would like to take me up on this membership offer. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat or send them to me privately and email. However, I think I did a really great job. In fact, I know I did a really great job explaining this offer and putting this offer out there. It's just now for you to decide that you need the offer, you want it, that it's for you, that this message is in resonance with you, that it is aligned with you on a soul level, and that you feel connected to me, to work with me, and you feel in resonance and you are open to learn. I do not work with or connect with other women or females who are just like know-it-alls and you just want to throw on to me everything and you're just like I can't even be friends with people like that. It's very uncomfortable for me. I've had to let go of people who wanted to be my friends, who act like they know everything, but their narcissism comes out and they're not willing to grow mentally. They're not willing to grow emotionally. They're not willing to, and that happens sometimes with older women. and it happens with younger females too. Just, the arrogance, the false ego. And if you're a minister, I'll tell you straight up, the arrogance and the false ego. Um, that's not what ministry is about. That's not what leadership is about. And being a minister, it's a form of service, where we are serving others. However, we don't live in times, where like the village where, people provided housing and food and shelter and all the needs, of the ministers or the medicine women or the medicine men or the helper healer archetypes. We don't live in those days. So ministers and people of the helper healer educational archetypes, those who serve mind, body, spirit, holistic wellness, coaches, consultants, we do have to charge for our time. And that's very important too, that we value ourselves, we value our energy, we value the services that we offer. And so that's going to be a huge part of what is shared as well. And this group offer for women leaders, coaches, ministers. And then I want to share too how I've talked to a couple of other ministers, and I said, hey, man, we need a support group, for being ministers. And this one individual responded back, and they said that, they agree that, even ministers, we're going through our phases of growth. We're going through our phases of expansion and learning. And man, this life is not easy. There is no one simple playbook. And as much as I love the Bible, there is still a lot that is either shrined in mystery that hasn't, been completely revealed to me yet. But there is a lot to life, especially having to do with business and contracts and dealing with people and people who aren't of integrity. I could share stories of people who have tried to steal from me, have stolen my property, stolen my intellectual property, tried to just everything, you name it. An international con artist. I won't even mention his name, but females need to stay away from him. So this is stuff that needs to be talked about as well. So it's a great investment. If you value yourself and you value your life and you value your education and you value all of your self investments, this is a great opportunity. It's a great offer. So with that being said, I am Reverend Carrie Stone, and I am the founder of She That Exists, and I am also known as She That Exists. It's She That Exists is basically it's my artist brand name. I'm She That Exists. And I have evolved in my life from being 3 years old and being a child performer in the performance arts and the dancing arts and the theater arts, and performing in parades, performing in gymnastics, winning medals, then like doing different athletic sports, basketball, volleyball, bowling. I'm sure I'm leaving some out. Softball, played on a select corporate softball team, hit the home run that got my team winning state, took us to tri-state, excelled in debate, got involved in Christian leadership at 16 years old, started teaching revival in the malls, in the school, the public school, the secular school. Then got involved in college and career Christian leadership in Chi Alpha and in my college and career days. Then just life has just like taken off. So 33 years of anomaly, phenom life experience. Created and directed my own show, organized my own show, emceed my own show. Have a lot of life experience and wisdom from that. So yeah, this is an incredible offer that I'm offering. So reach out, email me, and jump right on in, because there's a lot to be learned in this world. And learning from other people's experiences and their wisdom is a great way to invest in yourself. Very powerful way to invest in yourself and to grow mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and in consciousness, and in leadership. And I'll say really quickly to end this offer that a mistake is not this bad thing. It's not like, oh my God, I made a mistake. My life is over. I don't know what I'm going to do. I made this horrible mistake. My life is over. The way God revealed it to me, Creator revealed it to me, is a mistake is an opportunity for a retake. Say it again. A mistake is an opportunity for a retake because we're here to learn. And I'd say most people I talk to did not have parents that instilled wisdom and knowledge in them. And then, of course, a state secular school system is not going to give you what you need mentally, emotionally, and spiritually because they're teaching the opposite of consciousness. So, with that being said, this is She That Exists with She That Exists, her story channel. And as always, I will be back. Till next time.